Hello, my dear ones. Thank you for being here. I greet you with a heart that has walked through darkness and finally found light. I am speaking to you not as a teacher, not as a mystic, but as someone who once lived deep inside witchcraft. I used to read the moon like a clock, obey its phases, and plan my entire life by its movement. Today, I am here to expose what I once practiced so you can finally understand how lunar phases quietly influence daily decisions without you even realizing it. When I was still a witch, the moon was not just a beautiful object in the sky. It was an authority. We believed the moon governed emotions, choices, attraction, anger, desire, and even confusion. Every phase had instructions attached to it. What shocked me later was realizing how many ordinary people, unknowingly, act according to these same lunar triggers without ever stepping into witchcraft. The influence is subtle, emotional, and deeply psychological, making it feel like your own decision. During the new moon, we were trained to influence beginnings. I remember being taught that this phase creates mental fog mixed with false hope. People feel motivated but unclear. Decisions made during this time often feel exciting but lack clarity. As a witch, I exploited this by performing intention rituals, knowing people were more suggestible. Today, many people suddenly start new habits, relationships, or plans during this phase, thinking it's personal inspiration, when in reality their emotions are being pulled. As the moon grows into the waxing phase, energy builds, but so does pressure. In my past, this was the time to push thoughts into action. People feel restless, impatient, and driven to do something now. Arguments start more easily, spending increases, and impulsive decisions feel justified. I used to recognize this phase as a window where resistance is low. Looking back, I now see how many regrets are born during this phase, disguised as confidence. The full moon was the most intense phase of all. Emotionally, people become exposed. Anger feels louder, love feels obsessive, and fear becomes dramatic. In witchcraft, this is when manipulation worked fastest because emotions overflow logic. I saw calm people suddenly break, cry, confess secrets, or make life-altering choices overnight. Today, people blame stress or mood swings, never realizing the emotional amplification happening within them during this lunar peak. What disturbed me most was how predictable human behavior became once you understood the moon. During full moons, decisions are rarely balanced. People quit jobs, end relationships, confront others, or make promises they later regret. As a witch, we counted on this imbalance. We believed the moon revealed truth, but in reality, it magnified emotions without wisdom. I now warn you, not every emotional realization is a divine message. Then comes the waning moon, the phase of release, exhaustion, and quiet despair. This is when people feel drained, detached, and unsure of themselves. In witchcraft, this phase was used to weaken resistance. People question their worth, replay mistakes, and withdraw. Many bad decisions are made here simply to escape emotional heaviness. Today, I see people isolating themselves, overthinking, and making self-sabotaging choices during this phase without understanding why. One of the greatest lies I believed was that the moon was guiding me. In truth, it was conditioning my emotional cycles. I didn't choose when to feel powerful or weak. The phases decided for me. When I finally stepped away, I noticed how strange it felt to make decisions without checking the sky. That's when I realized how deeply lunar influence trains the mind to outsource personal authority. You may wonder why this matters. If you're not a witch, it matters because emotions influence decisions more than logic ever will. The moon doesn't force you, but it amplifies what already exists inside you. If you are unaware, you react. If you are aware, you pause. Witchcraft depended on ignorance, not power. The more unaware someone was, the easier they were to influence. This is why I am speaking now. Not to glorify the moon, not to fear it, but to expose how natural cycles are weaponized against human awareness. I don't want you making emotional decisions thinking they are destiny. In the next part, I will reveal how to recognize lunar influence in real time and how to reclaim control over your daily choices without fear, rituals, or dependence. Now let me take you deeper, because awareness alone is not enough. When I left witchcraft, I expected freedom to feel instant, but it wasn't. I had to relearn how to listen to my thoughts without attributing them to lunar signs. The moon hadn't stopped influencing emotions. I had stopped obeying it. That difference is critical. Influence exists, but authority is a choice. Once I understood this, I began noticing how certain thoughts arrived suddenly, emotionally charged, and urgent, especially during specific phases. During the new moon, after I left, I noticed an urge to reinvent myself overnight. The same whisper returned, "Start something new now." But this time, I paused. I realized clarity was missing. The excitement felt hollow. That's when I understood that the new moon doesn't create wisdom, it creates emotional openness. If you decide during this phase, decide slowly. Write things down, but don't act immediately. Reflection protects you from emotional impulsiveness disguised as motivation. As the moon waxes, pay attention to impatience. This phase makes people feel behind, rushed, and pressured to prove something. I used to think this was ambition, but it's emotional tension seeking release. If you feel unusually driven to argue, spend money, or force outcomes, stop. Ask yourself whether this decision still makes sense in stillness. Power does not rush. Witchcraft thrived on urgency because urgency bypasses discernment. When the full moon arrives, emotional intensity peaks, but intensity is not truth. I need you to hear that. Many people mistake emotional overflow for revelation. In my past life, this was the most dangerous misunderstanding. Tears feel prophetic, anger feels righteous, attraction feels destined. But emotions amplified are still emotions. During this phase, I now avoid major decisions. I observe instead. Awareness turns chaos into information rather than action. After the full moon, the waning phase invites release, but it also tempts self-destruction. This is when people cut ties impulsively, abandon goals, or retreat into isolation. As a witch, we knew exhaustion weakens resistance. Now, I see it as a phase to rest, not decide. Fatigue is not failure. Withdrawal doesn't mean clarity. If you feel like disappearing emotionally, don't make life-altering choices. Let the heaviness pass first. What changed my life was learning to separate emotion from instruction. The moon influences mood, not destiny. When you recognize this, you stop asking, "What should I do today?" and start asking, "Why do I feel like doing this now?" That question alone breaks the cycle. Witchcraft collapses when people become curious instead of reactive. Awareness dissolves manipulation faster than fear ever could. I want to be clear. The moon itself is not evil. The danger is surrendering personal responsibility to any external force. I once believed I was aligned, spiritual, and awakened. In reality, I was conditioned. True freedom came when I stopped assigning meaning to every emotional fluctuation. Peace arrived when I trusted wisdom over timing, character over cycles, and patience over impulse. If you feel your emotions rise and fall mysteriously, you are not weak. You are human. The moon highlights what already exists inside you. Instead of fighting it, observe it. Breathe through it. Delay decisions that feel emotionally charged. Most regrets are born from urgency, not logic. Control does not come from resisting influence, but from understanding it deeply. This knowledge is not meant to scare you, but to empower you. When you know how influence works, it loses its grip. I lived on the other side of this knowledge, using it without conscience. Now I share it, so you never unknowingly surrender your will. Your life should not be directed by phases in the sky, but by clarity within your soul. Thank you for listening to my story and trusting me with your time. If this resonated with you, stay aware, stay grounded, and remember emotions pass, cycles repeat, but wisdom grows when you choose consciousness over reaction. I walked away from the moon's control so you don't have to walk blindly under it.